Hello and welcome to Cable Plus Property, the #1 online educative platform on all issues related to land and landed properties. My name is Oiza. At Cable Plus Property, our aim is to ensure that all Nigerians and non-Nigerians have at the tip of their finger everything they need to know about land acquisition, land procurement, building construction, planning, documentation, and registration of landed property. We provide you with everything that is needed for you to get your property registered and also to obtain your planning permits. You'd agree with me that a builder is one of the pillars in the built environment. And so in this video, I'll be speaking with a man that puts on two caps. He's not just a builder, he's also an estate surveyor. He's no other than Builder Dr. Aladeloba Additional, the head of department, Building Technology, Yaba College of Technology. This is Cable Plus Property. Builder Dr. Aladeloba Additional Emmanuel, as we'll be talking about the builder as a professional in the built environment. It's good to have you, Builder Dr. Aladeloba.
It's always my pleasure on programs like this.
Yeah. So let's talk about you. Amongst other professions that are available on the planet Earth, why did you choose to be a builder?
Well, thank you very much. I will answer you this way. Is there anything wrong being a builder rather than a destroyer? No, definitely not. That's just in a lighter mood. I chose to be a builder because it's always good to build. And you come to term with the reality. You know, most times when you handle designs are most times on papers. But as a builder, you have the responsibility to translate, or if the right word is to transform those designs into reality. Now we are recording in my office now, and of course, you know, this must have been designed before it is put to reality. So this is the work of a builder. And sincerely, I am a realist. And so it's one of the things that has pushed me into going ahead to study building. And I must confess to you that it's been success story all the way, and I have no regret doing that. So,
what makes a builder important in the built environment? The audience would like to know what the roles of a builder are. Would you say they are the same as the usual bricklayers you find on the streets? What makes them important in the built environment?
Well, with the way you have put your question, it just shows that the fact that you are playing out the situation with even a lot of educated people in the country. Because I look at why would a man spend 5 years minimum in the higher institution, whether in the university or in the polytechnic, and somebody will now come and say, okay, as a builder, the road looks like that of a bricklayer. Of course, you know, that does not add up. I would like to use this opportunity to enlighten the public and people who might want to think the way. I know it's not you, but people who might want to think that same way. In the built environment, we have 7 professionals in the built environment. I am going to mention them, not in any particular order, though I would have loved to do that, but let me give you the liberty to be able to understand that without necessarily going through the trauma of having to arrange them in that order. The first I will mention is those that are geoinformatics, the land surveyor. They call them land surveyor, but of course, you know, the name has changed now. I hope you are taking note of that. I said 7 professionals in the built environment. So the land surveyor, who incidentally will have to go into the bush to get you the size, the area of your land mass, the land you are procuring. Okay? And of course, that's one. Number 2, after the land surveyor would have done his work, he prepares a paper called the survey plan. And so now becomes the work of the urban and regional planner, who comes in and look at the expanse of the land and begin to put things the infrastructures, the facilities, still on that design and all that. It blows it up and begin to put them. For instance, the urban and regional planner will plan the road links, which areas are the low road, and the areas where you have the schools, areas where you have the market, the police station, the hospitals. He plans all that. Fantastic work. He does all that, put them together. Because you see, construction is a collective responsibility. No singular individual can say he knows it all. And that's why we have those 7 built environment professionals operating. And everybody performs according to his own core competencies, what you have gone to school to learn. And incidentally, you can't be 2 on one project. You will only be 1 out of the 7. So number 3, of course, when those things are done, the planner finishes his work, the next person that handles it now becomes the architect. It's now the turn of the architect. The architect now begins to share the spaces, begins to tell you, you have your room here, you have your sitting here, you have this, you have that, your kitchen. He does that, and he does fantastic work too, just like the work of the land surveyor. Every one of them do fantastic work. Now, the next person after the architect, of course, the work of the architect, the design is not complete until he brings in the structural engineer. And I must warn at this stage that in the aspect of engineering, we have 3 professionals there, but we count all of the engineers as one. The 3 professionals, you have the structural engineer, you have what we call M&E, mechanical and electrical engineer. So after the architect would have done his design, the structural engineer puts in the skeleton. What do I mean by that? I want to use the technical word so that the public can be enlightened. Now, reinforcement. The structural engineer arranges this reinforcement. We call it structural design and detailing. The reinforcement, how many bars you have. Reinforcement is also bars. We call it reinforcing bars. You have the column. The column is what we call pillar. And you have the beam. Are you getting me? The beam, the one that goes this way, laterally. The one that comes vertically is the column. So it is the structural engineer who does the skeleton. He designs the size and the reinforcement. What diameter of bars are we going to put? How many? That's basically the work of the structural engineer, to ensure that the building stands structurally is fine. Because the higher you go, the more the work of the structural engineer. He needs to put his dexterity into it. He needs to do it in a way that the building can stand. Of course, that's the 3rd one. I've told you the engineer, the structural engineer, the mechanical, and the electrical. All of them one on that same design. So making how many now? If you are following, well, making how many?
4.
4. Thank you very much. After that is done, then there's someone we call the construction cost accountant, and that is the quantity surveyor. So all the design work, the quantity surveyor gets them and bring it together and look at the costs. How much will it cost to realize this building, this project? So what the quantity surveyor does is to tell you ahead that give you an idea of how much it will cost you for your project. And it hates planning. It helps you. So it prepares a booklet that we call Bill of Quantities. It does that, and of course the specifications are also written out. That's the work of the quantity surveyor. And so that's the 5th one. And of course the 6th person comes in. And who is this person? All those documentation are contract paper. So they carry all of them and give it to the builder, whom I want to respectfully refer to as a realist. He brings all those knowledge together because he has been trained in the science and technology of construction, of building. And so he manages all the resources in the built environment. And how many are them? There are just 5 resources. And let me tell you, we call them 5 M's. So the builder, the first M is man. He manages the man, the labor. all the labor, the skilled and unskilled labor, because that's the first resource. And of course, the most important resource. The second one is money. I told you 5M, money. So when it's paid, it must determine its cash flow to ensure that the project does not run into a coma or does not go, ST doesn't die. He realizes, so he manages money. That's the second one. And of course, the third one is material. He knows the right material to buy in a country like Nigeria where there are a lot of adulterated materials, because those are things that are also contributing to building collapse. Adulterated materials, we have different sizes of reinforcement in the market. Fake reinforcement. Even, unfortunately, there are fake human beings too. So you have that. And of course, I've told you that's 3. Number 4 resource is machine. He knows the right machine to bring in. He knows what to do and all that, and at the right time, how to use them. And of course, the 5th one, which many people don't even know. Most people don't even know that there's a 5th resource, and that is a method. Those are the 5M. So the builder manages all those resources and make sure that the project performs. What do I mean by that? Project can perform in different forms. Number 1, in cost performance. Number 2 is also that it can perform in quality. I'm going to give you the 3 major ones. And of course, number 3 is that it can perform time-wise. And don't forget that time is money. So the longer you stay on site, the more you lose your profits. And so the builder manages the project at the right time and delivers. There are other variables of performance, but that may not be relevant here now. Those are the 3 major relevant ones, especially cost and time. So he manages those resources and makes sure that the building is constructed and it delivers. So you can see that is the 6th professional. I told you 7 of them. I'm not going to lose trend of because I'm really trying to enlighten the public so that people can be better informed after watching this program. Okay? And of course, the 7th one. By now, you should know that because you have introduced me as the last 2, builder and estate surveyor and valuer. All right? So those are the 7th built environment professionals. And so, what does the estate surveyor and valuer do? He ensures that the building continues to maintain its value, to retain it. And so, the area of maintenance comes in, alienation comes in, and ensures that the building, brings back, profit to the owner in whichever way you want to give it out, whether by letting, and of course, when it is time for the real alienation, he ensures that the owner of the property gets the right value for his money. And what does it do? It only ensures that the reversionary interest of that property gets back to the owner, and the owner is happy at it. All these ones are technical, you may not understand about. Reversionary interest simply means in any property there are reversionary interest. And there's no way you can realize that reversionary interest except when you sell, because it's resident in it. And that's the money you get when you sell your property. It comes big, and you are happy. You've done a good business, especially those who do speculations. You buy land, build a house, sell, and make your money and go to the next land and be beautiful. So those are the 7 built environment professionals. So for anybody to now feel that, because somebody did building, it simply means that the person is not adequately informed. And there's no crime about that. It becomes a crime when you are now informed and you begin to move along that same line. Then it becomes a crime. And
to a layman at the construction site,
yes,
a builder is often not as recognized as a bricklayer. In fact, they are often referred to as an engineer. You hear on the construction site, "Oh, engineer, sir." Why is that so?
You can see me laughing. The truth is that as Nigerians, we believe in the sound of the name. The builder has always been recognized, ab initio. Sound of the name in the sense that, look, as you are now, the day you go and read medicine, they will forget your name because they begin to call you doctor. they'll begin to call your parent mama doctor, baba doctor. Or you read law, you become a lawyer. Because of the sound of the name and the mentality we already had as a nation. But that has changed, I can tell you that. Because even somebody that read history can also contribute positively to the environment. Let me tell you, people know builders. But the truth is that most people are used to the fact that anybody that is constructing is an engineer. Whereas I will tell you, what business has engineers and architects have in construction other than supervision of their designs? The real person that does construction is the builder. Is there on site, is the one in charge of the project, and he ensures everything moves according to how it is planned. He has a lot of documents that he contributes to the construction project, and part of it is a planning document, because he has to draw the construction plan, he has to draw the maintainability and maintainability assessment plan, the safety plan, health and safety plan. He contributes all that. Then there's also another thing he develops, that's the buildability plan. So all this he contributes, but people don't see it because most times we don't, because we are used to something. We want to for convenience sake say, you are an engineer because you are on site. Let me tell you, the builders are trained in the science and technology of building. Okay, so they know everything, the materials, the proportion of material that comes together to give you certain strength value and all that. So it's not something a bricklayer can do. There's a level of mix that you will do that will make your building at the end of the day to begin to have cracks. When the mix of your mortar is higher than the mix that produced your block, I'm beginning to get technical, but it's very important people are informed. So you have a lot to gain when you employ a builder to do your construction work for you. Most Nigerians are penny wise, pounds foolish, because at the end of the day, if any problem happens, at the end of the day, the building collapses, you lose everything, and that is if you escape with your life. So the truth is that it is better when all the designs are done and somebody comes and says, I can also build. No, I have a builder. I listen to a program where I now know there is a builder who must build. Okay? And that is it. So most of the work you see are works of builders, but most people call them engineer. And when they are tired of correcting, you can't come. In my church, they know me. If you say you are looking for engineer Aladeloba, they will tell you there is none like that there. But at the gate, even the gate man, the security guy knows that there is a builder called Aladeloba in the church. Because I'm even the one in charge of all the construction of the church. So that's just the case.
Now, in a construction project where you already mentioned the 7 professionals involved in the project.
And I'm glad you are informed too.
Yes, I am. We have the land surveyor, the urban and regional planner, the architect, the structural engineer, the quantity surveyor, the builder, and the estate surveyor. Now, in a construction project where all of these professionals are involved, who should be held responsible for the collapse of the building?
Now, at the initial stage, I told you, I said construction is a collective responsibility. Are you getting me? And let me add another maxim to it. You see, bad construction is an accident waiting to happen. No matter the length of time, it will surely happen. Okay? Now, you see, as regards who is responsible, it depends on the type of failure, type of collapse that happened. But let me tell you, most construction collapses begins from the design table. Are you getting me? There's something we call overloading. There's something we call underloading. I don't want to sound too technical so that your audience can understand us. But the truth is that, you see, there's something we call sudden collapse, and there's something we call gradual collapse. And there are 2 types of collapses. You have buildings that are under construction collapsing, and the buildings are already constructed, either too badly that still collapses. It just takes a period of time. The one that is of even more concern is when you have a building under construction collapsing. It means ab initio there has been a problem. So the issue is that people that will be held responsible are when you trace your collapse from the design stage. Because there are design errors. Design errors can cause collapse. And of course, construction error can also cause collapse. So it depends on the type of thing that causes the collapse.
Now, if these 7 professionals are
Yes.
working together for a project,
Yes.
shouldn't there be a check for each other? So if the architect makes a mistake, shouldn't the structural engineer already detect that and then inform the owner of the project so that corrections can be done?
No, he doesn't have to inform the owner of the project. He has no business with the owner of the project. He only has business with his co-consultants. Are you getting me? Because the owner, okay, let me just tell you this. We have what we call project team. The client is part of the project team, but the client is not part of the construction team. Are you getting it? Because the client is the most important person. He's the one who provides the money. And without money, you cannot do any construction. But the truth also is that all the consultants are representing the clients. And that is if the project procurement, the right project procurement is followed ab initio at the beginning. Okay? And that is why I say penny wise, pounds foolish. If you are saying, I can't afford professional builder, I can't afford this and all that, you now carry your work, you now give it to the bricklayer that you think will help you. I have a case in hand now, and he's a young man. I really pity the young man. He's doing a 2-story building, and he went ahead and gave it to a bricklayer, and the bricklayer was using 10 mm reinforcement right from the beginning to even to the second floor. Until government agency now visit and stop them. They look for me. I went there. I wasn't even confident to stay 5 minutes longer under that such structure, and it's supposed to be a school. It had to be stopped. Are you getting me? That's the intervention. It's still good, can still be rescued. So, and they're spending so much money. You are the second floor. They're about to begin to lay the reinforcement for the second floor. So I told them, if you try this, the building will kill you. It's not a cost. So you see, all of them have their core competencies. They are a team. And so when the design is given to the builder, and that's why you must give your work to the builder, because when the builder hands you the design, he sees the designs and all that, he will be able to identify errors. So when there are errors, rather than go straight to go and construct, he will call the consultant and say, there is an error here. I've had a lot of experience. I do construction too. Okay? There was a very big project in Lekki. The engineer designed that project. And while we were doing the rip floor, it was a rip floor, specialized floor we were doing, I discovered errors there. So I called the consultant engineer, structural engineer. Immediately he saw it, he just thanked me so much. We are a team. Are you getting me? We are a team. Nobody is sitting in the position of lordship over anybody. We are all professionals. Are you getting me? And any project that will be successful must operate that way. So immediately I saw that. I saw it in his design. I said, this thing you are asking us to do will create problem. There is a problem. We are at the second floor. And it was a 4-story building. So I just told him. Immediately he saw it. The building is still standing since 2000. It's beautiful. And that is the essence of construction team. We are all stakeholders. What will I gain, even if it's not my fault, for any project I am on, for it to collapse? Will I say I'm happy about it? No.
So as a developer, you advise that I give my project to a team that contains all of the 7 professionals?
No, I am not a developer. I am a builder. You are mixing it up.
No, I am saying as a client.
Okay,
now.
as a client.
Yes.
Okay, you are right in your question. As a developer, you are right. I misunderstood you. Now, as a developer, there's nothing wrong being a developer, even if you don't know anything about construction. But make sure you have a team that will handle it for you. A team of professionals who have name to protect. God forbid, if anything happen on any of my projects, the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria would delist me if I am guilty from their register. That is the government agency of the building profession, different from Nigerian Institute of Builders. Institute of Building, sorry. Are you getting me? So, not even a person like me that has those pedigree that you have read out. So, I need to be very so a professional will be conscious of his or her reputation. Are you getting me? So, it's better for a developer or the client, as the case may be, to ensure that he has his team. Are you getting me? It may not necessarily be all the team 7 at the same time, but some of them would have done their work and go before even the construction begins. For instance, the land surveyor would have done his survey work, so it's no more feasible there. Of course, and some others too along the line.
According to the law, it is an offense for a developer to embark on any construction without a planning permit. In what way do you think a planning permit can be responsible for a building collapse?
It will be. Incidentally, I was part of those who moved for that, especially the Lagos State one. I was at the State House of Assembly, and I remember they asked me to present a paper on that when we were pushing for this, okay, for this law, Lagos State law. I presented a paper to the House and all that, and that gave birth to this. And that's why you have the building control, Lagos State Building Control Agency today and all that. So it is a good thing. It is a good thing when you obtain a permit for your work. Are you getting me? When you obtain a permit for your work, it's a very good thing because a lot of check and balances will come in. And it's even better for the clients. Are you getting me? Because all those ones, as you are presenting your paper, there are certain things they will look at in your design. They will look at the setback. They will look at the airspace. I'm sure those are familiar terminologies to you. They will look at the airspace. They will look at the setbacks and all that and make sure that the building is functional. Because somebody can construct a building that's not functional. Are you getting me? And so also prevent collapse. Because while you are doing that, there's something they call state certification. Just 2 days ago, certification was done by the governor and all that. It's very important because anytime there is a collapse, there is enormous waste of human and material resources. People are killed, materials are wasted, and so the government cannot sit back and watch that this happens. Are you getting me? And so this has to happen.
Although you've mentioned this before when I asked the question about how important a builder is, but I would love you to reiterate this time,
Please go
particularly
ahead.
about the professionals. So, can you explain to the audience the role of a builder, a town planner, a structural engineer, an architect, an estate surveyor, a land surveyor, and a quantity surveyor in a building construction?
It means you are giving me a carryover in a paper that I've already passed. But I won't mind because you see, I've said all that while I was ruling the names out, but let me start again. The geoinformatics, the land surveyor, what they do is that they look at the size of your land that you buy. It can be a whole community like Yabatek. They look at it and give you the size, the coverage of that land. And what do they do? They will give you, there are certain features there that they will make sure that they point out to you. There might be land, there might be a hill there, there might be water mass and all that. All those will be brought out. And of course, after that, it gives you the urban and regional planner comes in and takes that paper and begin to delineate them. Begins to, there is something they call zoning in planning. There are areas for schools, there are areas for hospitals, there are areas for police stations, areas for markets, areas, the road links, and all that. So they do all that, okay? That's the urban and regional planner. And of course, the next person is the architect who takes those survey and begin to pick the houses, whether residential or commercial, begin to tell you how many rooms they are there, based on the briefs by the client anyway, how many rooms, how many sitting room, bedroom, kitchen, the toilets, and so on and so forth. It does that. But it's not complete, especially if it's a story building. The structural engineer is brought in, the mechanical engineer is brought in, and the electrical engineer is brought in, which I consider the three of them with regard to them as one. On the same design of the architect. Of course, the architect is the one who conceptualized the project and all that. And so those three people comes in to perfect and complete the work of the architect, because without the structural design, the architectural design cannot fly. Okay? It does all that. What the structural engineer does is that it designs the skeleton, where the columns and how many reinforcement will be in the column. The slab, where we are standing on, is called the slab. The elevated floor is called slab. The slab, of course, you know, when you have concrete mass up, it cannot stand, especially if there is no reinforcement, it will come down under its own self-weight. Okay? And the reason for that is that you are making me to go technically. Let me go a bit technical for understanding. Now, reinforcement is very good in tension, but very weak in compression. Why concrete is very good in compression, but very weak in tension. So the two of them come together and complement the other. Are you getting me? And that's why you can see your slab standing. If there's no reinforcement there, it will form down under its own self-weight. And so the structural engineer designs the reinforcement details for it. I've told you about column, which you call pillar, and I've told you about beam. Okay? That's the work of. So the mechanical engineer, what he does is that he designs the lift, the plumbing work, the elevator, and so on and so on. Of course, you should know by electrical engineer. We are enjoying the work of the electrical engineer with his lighting, the clear light you are seeing in this place, the fans, the fridge, and so on and so on. Now, after that, who comes next? The quantity surveyor comes next. I've told you he's a construction cost accountant. He gives you an idea of how much your design will cost you ab initio. And when you know, have an idea that what you want to do will cost you so amount, it helps your planning. It helps you to be able to budget and begin to look at how am I going to raise the money. When you budget, part of it is for you to determine the source from which the money will come from. And after that, he finishes and produces what? The bill of quantities. He hands it over, and all of those drawings and the bill of quantities are handed over to the builder. The first thing they do is that they hand over on price bill to the builder, who now begins to put his prices there to determine how much he can do such items on it. So after that, the builder now moves to site. And I've told you all those documents produced are called contract papers. So they now sign. Of course, the bill of quantities, they use it to do tendering. Now I'm in the classroom now. They now sign and agree on the amount, the contract sum, and they move on. So the builder now moves to site. Is the one that goes to the site. It does the site clearance, okay, and does all the pegging and all that, of course, with the architect coming to inspect, because it's the architect that conceptualizes the design. So he knows, he has a mental picture of what he wants. So if there's any area that is not conforming with his mental picture, he corrects and say, no, this is a design. Are you getting me? He goes there. So the builder does all that. From time to time, all of them consultant comes in the project to see if the project is going according to how it has been planned. Okay? And who do they see there? They see the builder, who is the one in charge of the site. Are you getting me? They look at it and say, okay, this and all that. So along the line, I've told you that the builder too is trained to be able to see if there is an error or two. So he will now bring it to he cannot change anything on his own because it's not his design. The builder is not a designer. I am not a designer. Are you getting me? It is the architect and the engineers that are designers. So he will now call the architect. And most of the time, architect is the chief consultant, because he's the one that invites all the other engineers to come and flesh up his work. So you tell the architects that this is this and all that. Okay? And sometimes the architect also come and changes design along the line. That's what we call variation. And of course, the builder enjoys that. When you vary the work, the builder will give you his bill and all that. Do you understand? So it's beautiful. Then the next set of people, you now have who? The estate surveyor. The estate surveyor now comes in. After the work is done, he now looks for how much value can this property command for the owner. The one that concerns the estate surveyor mostly is value. That's why they are estate surveyors and valuer. Don't forget, I'm also one too. I'm a registered surveyor and valuer. So he looks at the value and advises you, this property will cost so much in letting out, or if you want to sell, he does the valuation and values it and advises you on how much it will cost in a particular area, because there's something we call going price. There are every property in the location. The price in Yanopaja or Ikorodu, you can't compare it to that of Lekki. You know, Lekki are prime property areas. So it's just like as good as that. And when the building you have on your land, when the price of the land is more than the building you have on the land, the essence of your will advise you and say you need to renew your building. You bring it up to that level, and that is it.
So are you trained to handle trowel and mortar?
Now, we are not trained to do that, and we don't even have to do that as builders. You see, building does not start and end with shovel and trowel. Are you getting me? With all what I've told you about builders here, I'm sure you will know that that question should not even come up in the first place. You know why? Because it goes beyond that. The builder manages all the resources in the built environment, which I have read out to you. Okay? So it goes beyond trowel and shovel. That's an unskilled work. You call a laborer will dig, carry, even you can dig. But the work of the mason, that's the bricklayer, the mason, is skilled work. But you can't compare it to the level of the builder. The builder knows why you are mixing 1 bag of cement to 2 portions of sand and gravel. But the bricklayer does not know. Are you getting me? The builder can tell you this portion will give you so strength of concrete and so on and so forth. Do you understand? Okay? So it's not all about, even though we can, of course we can, but it's not all
The builder
about.
does not necessarily have to handle that.
No. He doesn't even have to. He has no business handling it. Are you getting me? He has no business handling it at all. He's there to ensure, to manage all the 5 resources I have given, including man, that is the labor. Are you getting me?
Do we have female builders?
Of course we have. We have.
Give example.
I will give you an example. The first HOD of this department, builder Mrs. Adebolanle Olubumi Araba, is a fellow of history and former chairman, College of Fellows of Nigerian Institute of Building. He's a builder. Are you getting me? She's retired this year, January. She retired because in the university and polytechnic, academic staff retires at 65. So she retired. It's the very first. You can even see I have the pictures and all of that there. That's the very first HOD of this department. Okay? So, Builder Mrs. Araba, I'm sure you can see. It's there. So, we have other builders. We have other female builders who are here. Are you getting me? Who are lecturers here? We have Dr. Iriwolede Ijaola. Ijaola is about your age. Okay? Dr. Miss. I have Mrs. Builder Mrs. Akerele Adebimpe. She's a builder.
And they handle construction projects?
Of course, yes. We have former General Secretary of Nigerian Institute of Building, Honorary General Secretary Builder Mrs. Jagun. We have a lot of builders. Former Director in Ministry of Works, Lagos State, Builder Mrs. Ogunaike Tobun. All of them, they are there. Builder Mrs. Laja. Are you getting me? Builder Mrs. Alaja, Builder Mrs. Bolaniwa, former Vice Chairman of Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria. We have Builder Mrs. Kolawole, a lecturer, former lecturer in Kwara State Polytechnic. We have a lot of them. Dr. Mrs. Akinola, former chairman of Ekiti State NIOB, Nigerian Institute of Building. We have NAB, former registrar. I can give you a whole lot of them. Are you getting me? We have builders who are female builders, and they are making waves. I've just told Mrs. Araba is the first female builder in Nigeria. She finished from ABU. She had a first class in building. And so I have a whole lot of them. And they are in Unilag there. We have all of them there.
For any construction.
Even bricklayers too. I have seen female bricklayers.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, bricklayers, yes. Female bricklayers.
Talking about bricklayers, how does a bricklayer come into construction?
Look at the name, bricklayer. They go to train as an apprentice. Are you getting me? And they come in to practice the work. It's a skill work. It's just like somebody going to learn how to be an iron bender, or to be a organizer, or to be a carpenter. So it's okay. It's just like you ladies, you go to learn fashion and all that. So it's a skill. And incidentally, Nigeria Institute of Building has a progression for them. Because we have association of, craftsmen. For instance, on October 30, I've been invited as a guest speaker at the National Association of Masons and Carpenters in Nigeria. It will be held in National Stadium. I'm the guest speaker at that program on 30th of this month. So they interact. There's a progression, craftsmanship progression for those who are in craft. They can improve. Because any system that cannot allow everybody to aspire to the peak of his or her profession will die sooner than later. Are you getting me? So, and the government is trying, because there is a vocational program that goes on, and the government, we call it the Empower program, the federal government program for craftsmen and all that. And for information, I'm even a verifier with the City of Guild of London. I'm a verifier with them. So all this go on, but I can understand. It's simply because you don't know.
For any building collapse, a builder will be mentioned because the builder is involved in the project. Now, as a past secretary...
That's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. For any building collapse, the one that will be mentioned are the one that are responsible for that collapse. Is somebody who had not performed according to what he's supposed to do. Are you getting me? Don't be too sure those are... You see, ironically, you said people call themselves, they call builders engineer. People are now beginning to call themselves builders. It's not everybody that calls himself builder that is a builder. Even when you are a building graduate, you are not a builder until you are registered with the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria. If your name is not on that register, you are not a builder. Even if you read building in University of Lagos or any university of Yaba College of Technology. I finished from Yaba Tech. I did ND, I did HND here. And I went further with my studies. So it's not that you went to university to rebuild that makes you a builder. No, that's not true. For you to be a builder, you must first of all register with the Nigerian Institute of Building, then at different levels. Okay, depending on the certificate you are carrying, you will apply. They will appraise your certificate, and give you whatever level you are supposed to come in membership. Then you begin to write the exam, whether technician level, licentiate level, in that order, associate level, graduate level, or corporate level. It is when you are at the corporate level that you can now move to the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria. And it is after you have passed there that they give you a number. For instance, I am number F357 in the whole of Nigeria as a builder. So they give you a number and they keep the register. And that is why it is very important that anybody that is dealing with anybody that calls himself builder go straight to the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria to ask if the name of that person is on that register. And that is what will keep a check on that person. He knows that he have to be very careful and perform well and make sure that he delivers, or else any report there, they will set up a committee and discipline him. But unfortunately, Nigeria has no building code yet. Even countries like, I sit on ASO, African Regional Standard Organization. I am a convener under them. And I'm one of the 2 people that represent Nigeria on that program in Kenya. And you're surprised that places like Egypt has building code. Nigeria hasn't got one. It's not because we don't want one, but the problem is that because of this internal wrangling. And of course, and there is a building code that has been passed in the House of Assembly. It has undergone the second reading for as long as when Jonathan was in government. Okay? Second reading. And it has not been able to go through the third reading. And it is only after the third reading that it can be passed. And that the president can now assent. So we've been on it. And why? Because of the politicking. A lot of the politicians are benefiting from...
What is the building code about?
National Building Code only emphasizes all the professionals have mentioned, their roles. What role, just like the Lagos State Physical Planning Law you just mentioned now, all the roles of the planner, builder, engineer, architect, and all that. And those who are in responsibility for this. So when there is a building collapse, it is that building code that they now refer to and be able to punish the person that needs to be punished. Buildings have collapsed in this country. How many people have been punished? You know of buildings, iconic building that collapsed and people died and all that. What happened? Look at the Massey Street building that collapsed and killed children. Incidentally, that was March 13. And incidentally, that's the day the builders have taken as the Builders' Day. Every March 13, we walk on the road and all that to mark that day and lay it at that Itafaji building site that collapsed. So, building code is very important, but they've not been able, they don't have the political will to pass it. I hope very soon they will pass it before Buhari leaves office.
Speaking of building collapse, as the past secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Builders, what is the
Nigerian Institute of Building?
Of building.
Yes.
Nigerian Institute of Building.
Yes.
What is the institute doing to stop the incessant occurrence of building collapse in Nigeria?
This is part of it. You can see all the things I've been talking is all about enlightenment. Now, the Builders' Day, March 13, is a day that immediate past president, Brother Kunle Awobodu, initiated that and brought it in. And we started it about 2 years ago. The one for this year, we had it in March, the Builders' Day, to enlighten the people why you must give your job to builder, to a professional builder, a registered builder, not just somebody that comes and say, I am a bricklayer or I am a builder. No. Okay? And the Nigerian Institute of Building is doing a lot. We have the craftsmanship cadre in progression under Nigerian Institute of Building. The craftsmanship where all the bricklayers, all the craftsmen under construction comes in, and they can begin to improve themselves, even to get to be a member of the Nigerian Institute of Building at that cadre, that area, apart from the academic area, so that they can also progress. Are you getting me? So a lot is being done. We just change of baton now. Kunle Awobodu just left as the president, and now we have Professor Izam, who incidentally is the Vice Chancellor of Plateau State University. Of course, the chairman of Carbon is Professor Kabir Bala, who is the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University. So you can see the builders are all over the places and they are making all efforts. It's only that Nigerian populace, we are so fixative on our way of life that we don't want to change. Because people believe that it's cheaper. But at the end of the day, it's more expensive when you don't use professional builders to do your work. Because if your building collapses, you've lost everything. If you don't lose your life with it.
Would like you to say something about this Cable Plus property endeavor.
Of course, you are doing a fantastic job. If it's not worth it, I will not be here. I've had a lot. I've seen a couple of your programs, and that was why I knew that you knew something about setback and airspace, because I listened to one of them. It's a fantastic work. I'm also a media person, and so I know I know the efforts the producer and of course yourself is putting in. If you have a person like me, you're interviewing a person like me, I'm sure you must have seen how tough it could be to interview a person like me. It's part of the efforts. So it's a fantastic work that you are doing, and I encourage something. But let me tell you, the proof of any desire is pursuit. And so you desire it and you come after it, of course you will achieve it. So I want to encourage you. In a climb like this, it's not always easy. But let me tell you, nothing good comes easy. And that's what I would just want you to just know. And at the end of it, if you persevere, you continue, you get there. Of course, with people around you, there's no way you won't get there.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Cable Plus Property. Also like our Facebook page at Cable Plus Property. Also like this video, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Cable Plus Property. Till we come your way again, my name is Oiza and this is Cable Plus Property.